So hi there, welcome to this next episode of me walking around the junctions of the Midlands. Today I'm off to one of my favourite places. It's a cold old day, there's going to be a lot of ice about. It's probably not going to look as beautiful and green as it sometimes does, but this place is a particular favourite of mine and the missus. We like the Staffordshire Worcestershire Canal and we find ourselves going through this junction quite a lot. It's one of our standard routes. So please join me today for an in-depth look at Haywood Junction. So welcome to Haywood Junction. Haywood Junction, not Great Haywood Junction. Great Haywood is the village that's close to here. This is actually called Haywood Junction. So I'm on the Staffordshire Worcestershire Canal just here. I'm just between the two aqueducts. There are actually two aqueducts here. The one aqueduct is the River Trent. The other aqueduct is to the old mill stream. Yes, there's the third aqueduct as well in the vicinity. It's not directly on this junction, but a bit further back is an aqueduct over the Sow. So tight bend coming up with a surprise narrowed exit, and that narrowing is for the aqueduct over the River Sow. Over the Sow again, that was a Brindley aqueduct, very much like this one over the Trent here. Very low, very strong, thick. Stonework. So the Staffordshire Worcestershire Canal was completed in 1771. It was navigable by 1772. They were trading by 1772. So the Trent Mersey, which is the other side of the bridge, which is makes up the other canal to this junction, wasn't actually ready till 1777. So I'm guessing that this must have just come to sort of a bit of a halt there and just waited. But the rest of the canal was operating. So it's 46 miles. From this point all the way to Stourport, which is on the River Severn. So it was a fantastic link to get the trade down from the north of England, the Midlands, down to the Severn, which could get to Bristol, which could go anywhere it wanted from there. Likewise, coming in the other direction, goods coming into the country, into the docks at Bristol and Gloucester, could then get the products up this way. So when indeed the Trent Mersey was ready to go, this was an extremely busy junction. You've got all that activity going on in the potteries and shipping their stuff south and shipping their stuff into the Midlands. And likewise, the potteries needed a lot of the minerals, the coal, all that sort of stuff that was coming out of the Black Country that was so important to Birmingham. The potteries wanted it too. They'd also got a supply coming in from the north, from sort of the Mersey side of things. But this was a massive trade link here. As is the case with all of these other junctions that I've been talking about, there was a political bunfight surrounding the situation. It wasn't in the early days, but in 1835, the Birmingham-Liverpool happened. The Birmingham-Liverpool Canal became the Shropshire Union Canal and was a straighter canal. Again, it was more modern. I think it was Thomas Telford, whereas this was one of the old Brindley contour canals. It went straight up to Cheshire. It went straight that way and it got up to the Mersey very, very much quicker. Certainly the first 2/3 of it, very straight, lockless, albeit one at Wheaton Aston for a while. So the trade wanted to go up there. So that started to cut out this junction. There was no need to come this far north on this canal and then get onto the Trent Mersey and carry on up. They just, I think it's the hypotenuse is probably the word I'm looking for, and up they went. What happened was the Staffordshire Worcestershire Canal decided they needed to put a decent toll in then. So traffic that was coming out of the Black Country at Aldersley Junction or Stourton Junction further down from Stourbridge, that traffic had got to come north on the Staffordshire Worcestershire Canal before it could get onto the Birmingham-Liverpool Canal. So that section between those two junctions coming out of the Black Country and the Birmingham-Liverpool Canal was tolled. So the people that were dealing with the Birmingham-Liverpool Canal decided to make plans for a canal that would be at a higher level and would cross over slightly further north and then link back into the Birmingham-Liverpool Canal, which would have cut out the need to use the Staffs Worcester Canal at all. So again, there was a lot of debate, there was a lot of negotiations, and they decided that that wasn't going to happen. Now that threat of that new canal was used on several occasions, and they always managed to get round it. You can just imagine it, can't you? I'll put it to you, sir, that your canal doth break the rules of gentlemanly conduct, and therefore I shall build a canal of my own and cross over yours with it. Well, sir, I'll tell you this. You do that, and I'll kill your wife and children. So Bridge 109, Haywood Bridge, is a really beautiful bridge. It's 1771, 1772. It's got a really beautiful wide elliptical arch, as they call it, and very low stone walls. So you can see people walking over the top. It's kind of there, it's very low, but it gives it a beautiful appearance, a beautiful slim arch to it. I always enjoy going under this bridge, it's beautiful. And finally, the turn off the Staffs Worcester Canal and heading east onto the Trent and Mersey, going through Great Haywood. Now this is a canal that we've done a lot, myself and Mrs. Lumsden. We like it. We really like the Staffs Worcester Canal. I think it's beautiful. There were some great locks. It's really nice. There's some nice pubs, nice towns, and just down about half a mile from where I'm sat now is Tixall. And welcome to Tixel Wide. So yes, that looks wide, doesn't it? Well then, just pan round and look at this. This massive expanse of water is such a popular place in the summer. Some great moorings around here. One of my favourite places. One of our favourite places. And over in the distance there, you can see the Gatehouse to what was once the Gatehouse of Tixel Hall. That's all that's left. So it was Thomas Clifford who owned the hall at the time the canal was being dug through. And he gave permission for that canal to be dug through on the basis that this section of canal was made to look like a lake. He wasn't going to give us permission unless that was the case. So, and this is what he got. So the grounds of the hall were actually designed by Capability Brown, and this was all part of Capability Brown's landscaping. And I'm reliably informed that it is navigable to the edges. I suppose that's as far as those reeds are now, but it goes further back than that. But it is deep enough to go all the way to the edge, apparently. So earlier in the history of Tixel Hall, Mary Queen of Scots was actually held there for a period of time prior to her beheading in Northampton. So she was there in 1586 and she was beheaded in 1587. So there's no real centre to the junction. You know, a lot of the junctions that we've looked at have got a bit of a village built up around them, or a lot more buildings around them. There's not here. There's just the old mill, and then there's a few more modern places built up, but there's no actual sort of village. The village of Great Haywood is a little bit further away. So one of the oldest buildings here, and I'm guessing it might not have been the original even so, and there probably was more to it, but was Lord's Corn Mill, which is just over by the wharf there. So Lord's Corn Mill was owned by the Aston family, and the Aston family sold it to the Staffordshire Worcestershire Canal Company when this was cut through. Staffordshire Worcestershire Canal Company retained it as a corn mill, but also extended it and turned it into a paper mill as well. I suppose with all the extra trade, with that access to transport, it made absolute sense to make use of that building and make some money from it. So making the most of the wharf, the old wharf that would have been part of the mill structure, Anglo-Welsh holiday boats, they now use that. It's a fantastic base just here to get down south, to get down onto the Severn, into the Midlands. It's just like a couple of days away and you're kind of in there. Go in the other direction, you know, you can go north, you can get up through Harecastle Tunnel and all the way up there and up onto the Llangollen, going in the other direction, you know, into Nottingham, the Leicester Ring, all that sort of things. It's a fantastic location here for a holiday boat company. They've got so many routes that they can give people. There are so many circuits that they can do, ring routes. It's a brilliant location. Very nice boats. Such a shame to see them all sort of moored up at the moment, but I hope they'll have their day again very soon, hopefully. And of course, very close to this junction, this area is famous for Shugborough Hall. So the Shugborough estate was owned by the bishops of Lichfield until the dissolution of the monasteries in 1540. So it changed hands several times and until 1624 when William Manson came along and for the princely figure of £1,000 purchased the estate. There was a manor house here, I believe, at that point. That was demolished and he built the centre section, and then some 80 years later the two wing bits were put on. So William Manson was sort of the predecessor, was the first of like the Earl of Lichfield as such, and then his family continued to own the property after that. A notable visitor to this hall, she stayed here for a while, was the very young 13-year-old Queen Victoria, stayed here with her mother. It was actually purchased by the National Trust in 1960. Lord Lichfield, a very famous photographer, he retained an apartment here until his death in 2005. I believe there's still an exhibit in there now of a lot of his photographs and sort of a mock-up of his studio where he worked. Yes, YouTube channel, yes.
Are you making a YouTube video?
I am making a YouTube video, yeah.
What's your YouTube channel?
Well, it's about narrowboats because I have a boat. So it's called Narrowboat Natterings. I'm doing some films about the junctions of the canals.
Do you have a boat?
I have got a boat, but because of all the restrictions, can't go out on it. So that's difficult having a narrowboat channel. Narrowboat Natterings, yeah. Have you found it?
Do you have a picture of two M's?
Yes. That's my logo, yes. Hey, good. So this is the beautiful Essex Packhorse Bridge. It's the longest remaining Packhorse Bridge in the country. It's got 14 arches. Now originally, according to my research, it would have had 40. How big would that have been? So this carries the Staffordshire Way. Legend has it, was built by the Earl of Essex so that Queen Elizabeth I could visit him at his castle in Chartley. Who knows? But the 40 arches used to extend right into the grounds of Shugborough. What a fantastic sight that must have been. I couldn't have timed that better, could I? The old Packhorse Bridge still being used today for what it was meant for. So Great Haywood, it's not known for, you know, lots of famous people. It's not a big place. Yes, Mary Queen of Scots gets a mention. Earl of Lichfield, Shugborough Hall, that's all very famous. But there was one person who stayed here for a small amount of time, and that guy was known as JRR Tolkien. And some of what you saw around here had some influence very much on what he went on to do. So Tolkien joined the army in 1917 and he went to France and fought in the First World War. He actually survived the Battle of the Somme, but he did then succumb to trench fever. I'm not sure what that's called now, but it was called that back in its day. And he came back to Great Haywood, where his wife was, and he recuperated here for a winter. But during that time, he kind of fell in love with the place, and a lot of his motivation for some of his stories comes from here. So yeah, in one of Tolkien's early books, this confluence of rivers, and it's called something different in the book, is mentioned. This bridge is mentioned, and something to do with a building with 100 chimneys is mentioned. Now, Shugborough Hall has 80 chimneys. Go figure. So welcome to Great Haywood Lock. This is a really beautiful bridge again. It's a grand lock. It's got a feeling of majesty about it, and I guess with Shugborough Hall only being a quarter of a mile in that direction, it probably lends itself to be just so. Guaranteed with this lock, particularly in the summer, throngs of people all clambering to help and watch and want to come on your boat for photos, and the children are helping with the locks. I actually love all that. So one of the more recent modern additions to the Great Haywood Junction area is this 200 berth marina. So yeah, I recall coming to see a couple of boats here when we were looking for our first boat. It certainly has everything that you would expect from a modern day marina. It also has on site, and I'm not sure whether this is part of the marina, but I've got a feeling it's the same people that look after it, is this fantastic coffee shop, cafe, when you can go into a cafe, and a great farm shop here as well. It's very popular. A lot of people come to here to get their goods and services. Quick shout out to my mate Mark. Had a lovely hot chocolate with that guy last week. Well, that was a busy old day. Yeah, I found that really interesting. I think that area around Shugborough Hall is a really nice area. It's certainly one. Said it earlier, we really enjoy going through there, particularly in the summer. It's a beautiful place. I particularly think that Essex Bridge is an amazing piece of architecture, and it's obviously stood the test of time. And I really was surprised at the Tolkien information. Again, when you start to research something, what you come across and what you find, I thought that was amazing, and I'm hopefully you've enjoyed that, and I'm pleased I brought that to you. So what I want to do next, I think, is now that I've gone onto that Staffordshire Worcestershire Canal and spoken about the logistics of getting stuff out of the Midlands, is probably go down and have a look at those junctions, the ones coming out of Birmingham, the one now going on to the Shropshire Union. There was obviously a lot of politics going on down there, so I think they're worth a little look. So I'll see you next time. Bye for now.